Morning, Team Harcourts, here from Cape Town. It is fantastic. It really is fantastic to have you online. Thank you very, very much for taking out this hour in your Friday morning to join me in a discussion on listing like a pro. Such an crucial element of our business. It's a critical element, right? If we don't list like a pro, we will starve. We will not make any money and we will not be able to survive in this business, in this industry. But it's more than that. It's also our brand, our company that depends on all of us to list like pros. Because as you will see as we go through this presentation, we uphold a brand promise, a very, very proud brand promise that started in 1888. So we want to list like Harcourts pros. After today, we want to, for those of you that might be on the fence on where you're sitting with your listing presentations or just your whole listing process, maybe there's a mind shift for you, or maybe there's a light bulb that comes on where you realize that, yeah, you have an incredible opportunity to ramp up your effort and your commitment and your dedication to your listing presentation. So let's see how we go and let's win together as one team, one Harcourts team here in South Africa. Right. Now, let's just look from a high level at our business. I think we'll all agree that any business, any industry depends on leads. Whether we are in real estate or whether you are a salesperson of life insurance, or you're a restaurant or a small retailer, or you sell cars, you need leads. And that is what all of us do on a daily basis. That's what you do every single day in your business, is to prospect and generate leads. And we all understand the funnel. We have to keep putting people into our funnel all the time. But what happens in that funnel? What happens if a person enters your funnel? What do we do then to convert that lead into a paying client? Because again, we only earn money, we only earn commission. The person that has a restaurant only earns money if he gets a paying client into his restaurant. If we get a paying landlord or a seller that mandates us to represent them in the market. So we need to understand, how do we convert leads into paying clients? So that's why that dollar sign is there at the bottom, because it's only at the bottom of that funnel where we get paid, right? So it's about lead conversion. And that's so it's actually, our business is actually quite simple, I think. It's very challenging, it's demanding, but it's quite simple. We need to generate leads and we need to convert leads. So my question to you today is, how happy are you if you would sit there and you would consider your business for a moment? How happy are you with the optimization of your lead conversion? Are you optimizing lead conversion? What do we mean? What do we mean by that? If you are not really understanding what I'm saying, is your processes, your tools, your resources that you use in your business, what your business stands for, your business vision, your business's reputation. What are you doing? What are you using in your business to make sure that you are giving yourself the very, very best opportunity to convert a lead into a paying client? Right? So we generated leads on the first slide. We said we generate leads and then we convert those leads so that we can earn money and that we can build a beautiful, beautiful business. Now, when we come to a homeowner and where we've identified a lead, that homeowner or that landlord can either be only requiring an appraisal on their property, or we can call it a CMA, or we can call it a value assessment. It's when you prospect in your farming area and you put it out there to homeowners that you would like to do a free market assessment for them, or a CMA, but they are not ready to sell yet, or they might not be interested to sell. That's the first question, is what do we give those homeowners to make an incredible impression on them? Because when we have that lead and when we have the opportunity to put a CMA together for that homeowner, we want to put something with it, right? So that they can be impressed by what Harcourts offers them and what Harcourts shows them. Right from that moment, we want to stand out from our position. We want to make sure that we are giving our homeowner or our landlord something more impressive, something better than the opposition is. Then another form of a lead is where we are approached by an owner that is ready to sell or that's already on the market. And where they are interested in a value assessment on their property, and you have the opportunity now to list that property. So are we in agreement that we have often these two forms of leads? So with one, we will put something forward to that homeowner that shows the CMA and also information of our company. But on the other one, where the owner is ready to sell, we will throw out the full Monty to them and we will show everything we can to impress them and win them over, to convince them that I, as the Harcourts agent, is your preferred agent to represent you in the marketplace. Right. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that we want to have almost two main presentation types, because I'm not going to be showing a homeowner that is not looking to sell at the moment. I'm not going to give him my full presentation where it's just going to be too big of a presentation, if I can call it that, right? So I'm not going to go through the whole process of presenting everything to them. So I just wanted to keep those two almost separate so that we understand that that is that. But you guys know this much better than I do. And I just want to say, I know that many of you that are on this session today are very experienced, very established in your marketplaces. You have your tools and your resources down to a T. So I have the utmost respect for your level of experience and your knowledge, but I also know that we are joined today by many team members that are new to the industry and that are still getting their head around a listing presentation and how all of this works. Right, so we're back to a lead. We start with a lead and we say that we have an opportunity to list if we are working with a homeowner that's already on the market or that is interested to go to market. Right, so we have an opportunity to list. The question then is do we list that property? Are we actually getting that property on our books? And then if we have the property on our books, do we sell the property? Because that is obviously where our income lies. We can do all these beautiful other things, but if we don't sell the property and we don't earn money, we had an expense, but we had no income. Right. Now my question to you is, can you influence your leads? Can you influence your opportunities to list? Do you have influence over the listing of a property? And do you have influence over the sale of that property? We often say there are so many things that we have no control over in business, but there are certain things that we have control over or that we have influence over. And I want to say to you today that you definitely have influence over all of these. You have influence over the lead that comes into your business. That is what you do on a daily basis to prospect, to generate leads. So you have influence there. Then you have influence over the opportunity to list that property. Because that is what it's your approach, it's your process, what you take to that homeowner or to that landlord to position yourself, to give yourself the very best opportunity to list that property. Then you definitely have influence over listing that property by what you show your client, what you show your seller, what you show your landlord. And then in terms of your influence over selling that property, all depends on whether it's a mandated property, sole mandate, joint mandate, or whether it's an open mandate. You have influence over that by what you bring to the table. I'm not saying that you can control all of it because the final decision lies with your client, but you have influence and we have to maximize that influence. If we are not doing from our side everything that we can, everything in our power, we are reducing our influence. So we want to maximize our influence on the effect or the influence that we have on each of these. So again, we're talking about lead conversion. We want to make sure that we optimize our leads into paying clients. So friends, I want to share the following with you. I hope that you can still see my screen. Can I just ask for a thumbs up to see if you guys can see an Excel spreadsheet? I see thumbs up. Yep. Okay, cool. So you guys can see the Excel spreadsheet. Thank you for that. Here on the screen, I have what I call an activities to income planner or a calculator. And I want to show you how much more money you can earn if you get your stuff together and you work at the highest possible level by using your listing process, not only your listing presentation, but your listing process. I have two tabs, a poor or no listing presentation and an outstanding listing presentation. Let me walk you through it very, very quickly. I'm breaking it down from activities per week down to what I can earn for the year and for the month. We're starting by saying, what is my target number of listing appointments per week? Because we know that that is the smallest lead measure that you can measure in your business is the number of listing appointments that you have per week with a landlord or with a homeowner that's looking to sell or that just wants a valuation. On both of the spreadsheets, I'm going to go with just with the number 2. For no specific reason, I'm just going to go with the number 2. Let's say you work for 49 weeks of the year. Hopefully you can somehow take 3 weeks of the year off so that you can recharge your batteries, rest. That's very, very needed. So that will give you 98 listing appointments per year. 2 a week, for 49 weeks, that gives you 98 per year. Now, here's the first thing that you ask. For every time that you sit with a homeowner or a landlord, there's no guarantee that you're going to walk away from there with a listing. So let's say that you list 20% of the properties where you meet with a homeowner or a landlord. 20% once out of 5. Where you meet with a homeowner, you take that listing. Are you guys happy with that? 20%. Let's just work with 20%. It might be higher, it might be lower, depending on your level of experience in the industry, how established you are in your marketplace. A few factors come into play there, but your listing presentation plays a crucial role in your percentage here, where your success ratio of listing appointments to actual listings. Now, that will give you 19.6 new listings per year. If I have a 20% success ratio, that gives me 1.6 listings per month. And here's the next one. If I have all these listings, what percentage of my listings do I sell? Because that's really where the rubber hits the road, right? That's where I earn the bacon. Percentage of my listings I sell. So let's say I sell 30% of my listings, which is actually also a relatively highish. I'm actually going to make that 25% because I'm not using a quality presentation. Let's say I'm not using a presentation at all, and I sit with a lot of open mandates. So my percentage of the listings I sell is actually very low. Let's say around 25%. That will give me about 4.9 sales for the year. Right. So let's just move back for a moment. All of these that I indicated now, the 2 appointments per week, the number of listing appointments for the year, your success ratio, your use of a listing presentation, all of these are what we call lead measures. They show you what they are indicators, lead indicators of what your eventual result is going to be in your business. Early indicators, if you will. Right. So I have 4.9 sales for the year. If my average sale of properties in my farming area, my specialist area, is around 1.5 million, and I work at a commission percentage per sale of 4.25%. Why that low? Because I have a lot of open mandates, because I have no listing presentation or I have a very poor listing presentation. I have a low commission percentage because I have to split or share with a lot of agents, and I basically take what I can get. I can't push very hard with my seller on my commission because I have very few mandates. Most of my listings are open mandates. Then this could possibly be my income. So my average commission per property is 63,750, and my annual income 312,000, and my monthly income 26. Now let's see what happens where we have an outstanding listing presentation. So remember these numbers, 312 and 26,000. If I move over to an outstanding listing presentation, I stay with two, I stay with 49 weeks of the year. Again, I have 98 listing appointments. But because I have a great listing presentation, because every time that I have an opportunity to sit with a homeowner, whether they're looking to sell or rent their property, I have a higher success ratio of taking that listing onto my books. So on the previous one, it was 20%. We move it up to 30% because it will influence your success ratio. There's no question about it. If you have a listing presentation that knocks the socks off your clients, that will push that up to a 30%. If I have 29.4 listings then for the year, two and a half a month, and because I also have a great listing presentation, I will sell a high percentage of my properties because I have more sold mandates, and I have more quality listings. So I have a 50% percentage of listing to sales, 50% here. I hope that you guys are following me, and that will give me 14.7 sales for the year. Same average sales price per property, but I'm selling at a higher commission percentage because of my strong listing presentation, because of my sole mandates, because of how I pitched to my seller and positioning my value offering to them, positioning my marketing and advertising solutions to my seller, I am commanding a higher percentage. And also, I'm not sharing so much with other agencies. I can list the property and I can sell the property. I command that listing. Remember, he or she who controls the stock controls the market. There's no question. There's no other way around it. He or she who controls the stock controls the market. So I, with the same properties in my market, with the same number of listing appointments per week, am earning over R1 million a year in GCI. Whereas where I had no or poor listing presentation, that could have been a third of what I can earn if I have a proper, fantastic listing presentation and I'm on top of my game. I am well versed in my objection handling. I'm sharp. I know what to say. I'm investing in my business like a real professional, like a real pro. I'm investing in my business. Can you guys see the difference in income that you can earn? That is amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. You can earn 3 to 4 times as much and even more, guys. These are conservative numbers, and even more, by just making sure that you do lead conversion the best way possible. Okay, let me not take any more time on that. I'm coming back to my presentation. So we know that we are part of an incredible brand, as we said earlier. And as one team around the country, we have the opportunity to help each other elevate the public's perception of Harcourt as a brand, where people expect and understand that Harcourts is all about providing the finest client experience in real estate, because that is our vision. For the Harcourts experience to be the finest experience in real estate, and we do it according to the Harcourts way. That is our brand promise, and we want to help each other. We want to help ourselves, and we want to help our fellow team members in your office, in your region, around the country, elevate the Harcourts experience. And I want to appeal to each and every one of you to really take that in your heart and embrace that, and know that that will make your life easier. It will bring you more business, and things will just be much better. So if we just for a moment consider what we regard in Harcourts as the ideal four-step listing process, I want to remind you of the following. We would love, in a perfect world, to follow a four-step listing process, but it doesn't always work this way. The first contact is to say that as a Harcourts agent, we want to make sure that we stand out from opposition from the first moment that a homeowner makes contact with us or that we make contact with them, by the way that we sound, by the energy in our voice, by what we ask them, but why what we say to them, our level of eagerness to assist them. That first contact is critically important because many of our competitors in this industry don't have that approach. They are low energy, they don't ask the right questions, they don't show intent, all those things. So we want to stand out from the first contact. Then there's a fantastic opportunity to start to build rapport with our homeowners and or our landlords through a pre-list presentation. That is before we engage with a homeowner, where we present a full listing presentation, or we can call it a tabletop presentation. The pre-list presentation is to just bring them some information, like I said, to start to inform them of who we are, the market, etc., etc. It's to get our foot in the door, but it's to start to make an impression on them that, sure, these guys are professional. They're switched on. They know what they know what they're doing, and we are giving them something that looks fantastic. And that is why we have a pre-list box in Harcourts that we order off Printforge, and we have so many different brochures and guides that we can put into a pre-list presentation that we deliver to a homeowner right on the day that they asked us to come and see them. So let me just give you a quick example. It's Friday morning right now. If I'm getting an inquiry from a homeowner to come and see me tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, just before the Springboks kick off against Italy in Quebec, I want to make sure that I'm getting something to them before tomorrow afternoon. I have an opportunity to send them a pre-list presentation, just as an introduction of who I am, what I do in my business, and have a look on the hub. You will find under listening tools, there are examples, or there's a mock-up example of a pre-list presentation. And really all it is for you to take that, to work it through and to make it your own. That is very important that we make that part of our listing process. But I want to move on to the listing presentation, because that is where our bulk of our focus is going to be lying today. The listing presentation, that is where we present everything to our client that is looking to sell or that's already on the market. It's also a listing presentation for our rental agents, where they want to win the business with the landlord. And then step 4 is a post-listing presentation, or what we call, now that you're on the market. There's also a presentation under listing tools on the hub, where you can have a look at what that post-list presentation looks like. And it is just to give something to our client where we explain to them the steps of selling, just taking them by the hand, making sure that they have a copy of the mandate, the seller declaration, the Harcourts Promise Certificate, the Harcourts Promise calendar that we explain to them. All of those resources we package together in a post-listing package, so that a Harcourts client is never wanting for important documentation that they need. When does the mandate end? What are the conditions of the mandate? What did my seller declaration say? All those things, we got to make sure that our sellers and our landlords are in possession of all those important documentation from the time that we take the mandate, that we take the listing. Right, you guys happy with that? So like I said, I'm going to be spending time on the listing presentation today, because that is really my purpose, is just to walk you through our listing presentation again, and to explain to those of you that might be a little bit unsure of how the presentation works, because we have found that for many of our team members, it's still a little bit overwhelming. Not too sure what to put into my listing presentation. What are the elements? What do I need in there? So I want to run you through that. I want to remind you that we believe that there are basically 5 main sections in a listing presentation. And remember, your listing presentation that you will be using when you meet with your seller or when you meet with your landlord is a discussion document. It's a framework. It's a framework for you to discuss these 5 sections and then to show them what we can do for them and why you are the agent of choice for them to represent them in the market. The first is we start off by understanding or getting an understanding of the seller or the landlord's situation, their goals with the sale of their property, and their level of motivation. How motivated are they to sell? Are they highly motivated or not motivated at all? Then we discuss the market. And I just want to say it's important that these sections follow this order. We first want to listen to our client, what the situation, goals, and level of motivation is or are. Then we talk about the market and we explain to them the current market conditions. What is the dynamic? What's the dynamic in the market? What is happening in their area where their property is? Because you are obviously an area specialist. You understand their area, so you can show them very, very important information around the area. Then we talk about pricing, what influences pricing, etc. Then we move over to marketing and advertising solutions. What can you offer them in terms of marketing? Should it be a priced listing or a listing with no price where we go the auction route? And what are your advertising solutions that you can put on the table to maximize the buyer's pool or the tenant pool to that property, create competition, because that is the way that you will get the highest amount for your client. And then why us? Why should they choose you as the Harcourts agent and your office to represent them in the market? And here we talk about the Harcourts promise, and all the different things that you can put on the table, your unique value proposition, etc., and why they should choose you. So those are the 5 sections, and you should have this in your mind to know that this is the order, the process that I want to talk through when I meet with my seller or my landlord. All right, guys, I'm going to move on. I hope that you're making notes as we are talking, and but obviously you'll be able to watch this recording again. But yeah, do make notes as we go along. Now, in everything that we're talking about, the big question is your unique value proposition. Because, guys, we know that there are such strong agents in your marketplace out there that are very committed, they are very professional, they also want to be the market leaders, they also want to dominate the market. So if we are not asking ourselves what our unique value proposition is, and if our listing presentation is the very best it can be, the best in the market, then what are we doing? It is not rocket science. It is not difficult. It just requires an effort. It requires your dedication, first of all, your desire, your dedication, and your effort. Because we got to be in the business to be the best. The very best that your presentation can be, the very best that your unique value proposition can be, the best in the market. Now, let's run through a listing presentation. And if I can just ask you a thumbs up, if you can see the front page where it says sale to celebrate on your screen, I'll really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I get the thumbs up. Appreciate that. Thank you. Now, I took this again from the hub under sales agents and listing tools. You will find the listing presentation there. And I do know that most of our offices have their listing presentations in their office. You have customized it for your office, or your business owner and your sales managers have customized it for your office. You are using your office listing presentation, or you might have already customized your own listing presentation. Brilliant. I just want to run through this very quickly for those that are still in the dark a little bit around what I should include in my listing presentation, what is available, etc., right? So that is the purpose of this. But hopefully those of you that are using great presentations already might see something that you can add to your existing listing presentation, because I think that is why you're here. So I'm going to try my best, and let's just run through this very quickly. So you have a nice front page. Whatever you want to put on your front page, that is for you to decide. Your picture to maybe to represent your demographic, or whatever you want to put on the front page. But then obviously very important is your details, your photo, your name, your contact details, etc. at the bottom of that front page. Then, as we said, understanding our client situation is where we start. And I really want to encourage all of you, to make sure that we listen well. As Harcourts agents, we want to be known as agents that don't do all the talking, but we listen very well and with care and with empathy and with understanding. So we want to adopt a question-based approach in our listing presentations. And guys, that is going to take some practice. That is why it's important to role play our listing presentations in our office with a fellow colleague. I know many of us shy away from role play because we feel shy, we feel like put on the spot. But you are going to be put on the spot when you sit with your homeowner anyway, and that is where you have to shine. You cannot, you're going to bleed in battle if you're not willing to sweat in practice. So I want to encourage you to put away that fear of role play, that being shy to role play, and embrace that. And what's the word? Remember that that is your sweating in practice. That is the sacrifice that you're putting in to practice, 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 so that when you're sitting in front of your client, you can really nail it. You can speak with confidence and you can win the business, because that pile of money, that 100,000 Rand or that 50,000 Rand or that 500,000 Rand gross commission is sitting on the table, and you have an opportunity now to come and win it, Okay, so understanding the situation, have a look at that. I'm not going to spend much time on each of these pages because there are too many and I want to get through the presentation. But you will find this, as I said, on the Harcourts Hub. There is a mock-up example of many different pages, many different possible pages that you can include in your listing presentation. So if you don't have a listing presentation yet, or you feel that you want to improve on your listing presentation, go and have a look on what is on the hub, or you can contact your BSM. We can send you more examples of other offices that have done their own presentations, and you can use influence or ideas from different presentations and build your own, put your own together. But like I said, on the hub, there is a generic mock-up example that you can work through. So you will find this information in there. Then there's a section where we are determining the level of motivation of our client. Seller 1 to 5. Seller 1 says, I don't need to sell quickly. This can take forever. Bring me my dream price. That is a 0 out of 5 motivation, up to a seller 5 motivation where it says, I have to sell. There are time constraints. I'll listen to the market, pull out all the stops. I want a result. So determine your seller's motivation to sell. Then we are moving over to the market. Guys, it's important that we show our clients that we understand the market and that we are market or area specialists, because this can be a differentiator for you. There are so many agents in the marketplace that run over the show. I'm not talking about Harcourts agents. I'm talking about agents from other companies. Today they list in Camps Bay. Tomorrow they list in Stellenbosch. Next week they list in Swellendam. And they are just all over the show. And the question is are they area specialists? How are you beating them? What are you showing your client to show that I am an area specialist, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? I know what's going on in this area, and let me show you. So you put information together where you show your client that you are really an area specialist, you understand the market. This is also a page just to explain whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, a balanced market. Have a look at that, getting to know the market, because a conversation around this with your client is going to explain to them how the current market conditions might either push their price up or push their price down. So that definitely has an influence on what your client can get for their property. Then your community involvement is also important, giving back to the Fear London community. If I'm in Fear London area specialist, I want to show that I'm part of my community, so I can have a page like that in my presentation. Emphasize your connection to the community and your passion for helping homeowners. For homeowners, that's important to know that my agent is part of this community. They're invested in this community. They give back to the community. So if that is you, make sure that you show that in your presentation. Make sure that your sellers know that, because that might just be the difference between you winning the mandate, or you getting an open mandate, or your opposition getting the mandate. We got to think of everything that we can bring into our presentation where it's a differentiator and where we can position ourselves in the very best possible way. Now, when we start to move over to a section where we talk about price, we want to insert our appraisal here. So make sure that you obviously have your appraisal as part of your listing presentation. We know that prop data has fantastic valuation capability or comparative market analysis. We're not using the word evaluation, so my apologies that I used the word valuation. But our CMA or our appraisals that we build on prop data. So this is just one that I grabbed without permission from the beautiful Diana Vermeulen from Uitenhage, but just to show you, again, just to remind you what the appraisal shows us. So this is what you put together, and this is obviously the information that you will use to have the conversation around price with your homeowner or your landlord. Okay, so you all understand how that appraisal works on prop data. So I will make that part of my presentation. If it's got to be part of your presentation, your CMA. A listing presentation is nothing without a proper CMA, and that is what you have right there. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Where am I now? I lost my spot. So that is your appraisal section. And what is critically important, and what you will do is that you will show your client that you have hyper local market intelligence. Present visual market data specific to the subject area. That is so important that's critically important that we include that in our listing presentation. So let's talk price. Keep your question-based approach and let the data speak. Guys, firstly, what did you have in mind? This is what you're asking your client, to put a price in there. And when you have this page in your listing presentation and you get to this page, you are ready to put down a price. So you're almost putting your client on the spot to tell you what they had in mind. And then considering the data that you looked at together in your CMA, you will decide on a price that you will go to market. Right, so that is talking about price. If it's needed, you should have a page like this in your listing presentation where you speak about successful pricing principles and how the number of days on the market influence price that your seller will get for their property. And that is also the dangers of overpricing that we need to be able to explain to our seller if we see that our seller has too high a price expectation. Because remember, if you want to list like a pro, we often say list hard and sell easy. You have to be willing to have the tough conversation with your client, with your seller, or with your landlord. You have to move to a place, or I shouldn't use the word you have to. It sounds prescriptive. What we need to do is we have to see ourselves as trusted advisors. We shouldn't be desperate for this business and just say anything to our client, what they want to hear, just for us to win the business. Yes, obviously we want the listing, but primarily we want to advise our seller or our landlord what would be in their best interest in terms of price, days on the market, etc. So we might have to be unpopular by showing them that what the data shows is not what they are expecting to receive for their property. So again, if they have an overinflated price expectation, you pull out this page and you explain to them how they will, in all likelihood, get less for their property if their property sits on the market for too long, if they went in too high. If they listed too high at too high a price, the property will sit on the market for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and it will sell for below market value. There's no question about it. All of us have seen it, and that is not what we want for our client. We want for our clients to be able to sell at the maximum price that the market can pay. Okay, then there's another page. There's more to price than opinion, and it is also, if needed, to remind our sellers that there is more to price. There are many factors that influence market value: competing properties, days on the market, current market conditions, local sales prices achieved, the property's condition, etc., etc. So you have a chat with your client around that if needed. Then we also want to talk to our client around the selling method or the selling strategy. If we are going to go to market with a price or without a price. Now, if you are an agent that can offer price listings and the auction strategy, then this is what you will have in your presentation. And you might obviously build this out a lot. I see with the likes of, let's say, Joshua Parsons, Harcourts Platinum, Harcourts Rhino, many of our leading agents or auction agents and auction officers have comprehensive sections in the listing presentations that deal with auctions. They explain the auction process. They give a lot of information around that. So depending on where you are at in your business, that will determine the amount of information that you include in your presentation around auctions if you want to offer that option, right? Guys with me. So I just wanted to bring that in, but speak to us about that. If you want to build out your auction section in your business and you need guidance on that, please consult with your business owner, your BSM, and we are all here to assist you in any way that we can. Guys, now we get to marketing. Right, so first of all, we are ticking off our first two sections of actually first three sections of our listening presentation. Speaking, understanding our client situation, talking about the market, talking about price or pricing, and now we're getting to marketing. That is 4, and you'll remember that 5 is why us. So now we're going to look at marketing. We know property marketing, and here is where you need to show your client what you can do for them, what we do for you in terms of advertising your property. What are all the things that we do to position your property in the most attractive way to potential buyers, potential tenants? What are all the things that we do? And you have to understand 100% what your office offers. When you sit in front of your client, you shouldn't be in doubt whether you can offer professional photography, the signboards, the property videos, your database, your property portals and the national websites, what you can do in terms of flyers. You have to understand exactly what your office can offer your client in terms of advertising. You guys with me? You understand what I'm trying to say there? So this section you will obviously build out, or you might have already, that shows exactly what you guys can do, what we can do for you to advertise your property in the best way possible, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. Show houses, 3D virtual tours, extensive social media. Impress on your client, guys. Impress on your client. You know, you have to have an incredible section in your listing presentation that shows the marketing, because in the end, we are also marketing specialists. We are marketing managers. We are taking their property to market, and our biggest responsibility is to expose their property to the widest possible buyers pool or tenant pool so that we can generate maximum competition, because competition drives up the price. If buyers are competing or if tenants are competing, they have no choice but to offer full asking price if they want to secure the property. Whereas on an open mandate, often the property is sold to the first person that makes an offer. It might not be the best offer, but it is any offer. Yep, so that's what I want to say. Marketing for success, I'm just going to jump over that. And then our promise. Our promise is under the section Why Us? And this is where we explain to our client what the Harcourts promise is about and what we promise to them in terms of service. The first is that we will give them a detailed marketing plan or a calendar that will show them, that will put them really in the picture of what we will be doing for them on specific days of week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, up to week 8 maybe, of taking their property to market and marketing their property. On the hub, under the promise section, you will find examples of detailed marketing plans. Also of Harcourts Promise marketing calendars. I will show an example of one just now, but make sure that that forms part of your listing presentation. Post-inspection feedback, critically important. All offers in writing, extremely important. Written progress report. Guys, I want to encourage you to include a written progress report as an example in your listing presentation to your seller. You might not make it part of your listing presentation as such, but when you meet with your client, make sure that you have an example of what you send your sellers on a sole mandate to update them on the progress of their property. And this is what it looks like. Just to also to show you an example of a detailed Harcourts Promise report done by Helen Purden in Port Alfred, one of the very, very best in the business. And this is just to show her client number of days on the market. These are the views, the leads, the viewings, etc. And I'm sure that you're all familiar with the seller's report on prop data and how to generate it. If you are not familiar how to build a seller's report, there is a video on the Harcourts Hub that takes you through the process of designing such a seller's report. But it really is not difficult. It's just a matter of getting going with this. But I can tell you now, and you guys will agree with me, that if I'm the only agent sitting with a seller that can show that seller what we send our sellers to update them on the progress of the marketing of their property, and no other agent from another agency can show something similar, I'm winning the business. I'm telling you now, I'm taking that mandate home because I'm showing my client a value proposition or unique value proposition that no other agent is showing them. And this is a real opportunity. And this is why Helen Purden does it. And this is why Harcourts Port Alfred has more than 35% to 40% market share in Port Alfred. It's just because they do it right. They do it properly. And it's not only Helen Purden that does it. It's the whole of the Harcourts Port Alfred team that does this. They do it as a team. And that is the Harcourts brand promise that carries their work in Port Alfred and the area. Right, so just to show you, this is the viewing feedback of all the buyers that she had through their property. She captures some prop data under buyers or under leads, actually. These are buyer leads that came in, they viewed the property, these were the comments. And as we know on prop data, if we enter those lead comments, it pulls through into our seller's report. And then she also has a marketing section. She includes all the marketing that she has been doing on that property. Why does she do this? Because at the time that she sits with her seller with an offer to purchase and she needs to negotiate with the client and her seller wants to cut her down on her commission, she can pull out the seller's report and remind her seller of all the things that she's been doing for them over the past 45 days, 50 days, 60 days, whatever the period is. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, where did I not meet my obligation towards you? If I can show you all these things that I've done for you on the marketing of your property and all the buyers that I brought through. So it supports her commission and it also supports the seller's acceptance of the offer because that seller can see all the things that she has been doing for them. So guys, you get the idea. I don't want to labor the point, but that is where we have our written progress report in our Harcourts Promise that we want to show our seller. We want to show them what we do in our written progress report so that we can win the business, we can win the mandate. Marketing review meetings, explain to them what that is about, that we will meet with them every 4 weeks. We will have a sit down. We will review what's been going on in the market. How has the property been received? What have buyers been saying? What have leads looked like? And what are the plans going forward for the next 2 to 4 weeks? So that's the importance of a buyer review meeting. When a Harcourts agent lists a property, our sellers need to understand that we are not only taking the mandate and we're going to pull a disappearing act, we are going to be there with them every step of the way, every day of the week, until their property is sold. Too often we hear of homeowners giving mandates to agencies or agents, and they don't hear from that agent for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Harcourts agents are not like that. And that is why we are proud to be associated with this brand because we work differently, we work better. We have a Harcourts promise that says to our sellers, we will meet with you at least once a month to have a strategic chat about your property if it hasn't sold, obviously, before then. And then we have mandatory seller defects list, etc. Guys, our time is running out. This is a marketing calendar. That is what we have on the promise, a detailed marketing plan. So this is what we can then populate for our seller to show them what we will be doing for them in this month of July, from taking the property to market. And we just populate this before we, when we're going to present this to them. This is part of selling ourselves to our seller. You got to come prepared. You got to come prepared, and you have to put in the effort to make it personal for that property, because this will build so much trust. Your seller will see that you are absolutely focused, you're absolutely committed to their property, to them. You're looking to help them sell their property. Yeah, so let me leave it there. Then obviously your personal profile. You can have a one pager on yourself. Depending on your experience, you can add another page to explain who you are as an agent, like a little biography. Then there can be your business owner, and maybe a head administrator can be in there. You can have a write-up on your office, our team, your support, because in the end, when you bring in property into your office, it's not only you that market the property, it's your whole team, it's your whole office that markets that property, that takes that property to market. So make sure that you include an office write-up in your listing presentation. Testimonials, incredibly important. What are your clients saying? Because we live in a time of social proof. We want to read, we want to see what other people are saying about you and your services. You can even include a CX. Actually, I forgot about this. If your office rates very high on CX, if you have very high Google business reviews, guys, that should be in your listing presentation. If you look on Google and you search your office, let's say I take Harcourts and Kriel, and you have a very high Google My Business rating. Include that in your listing presentation. Make a whole full page of that and show your client how highly your office are rated by your happy clients. That is so, so, so important. Then my value proposition to you. This is where you explain to your seller what your value proposition is. The average listing in the current market sells for 93% of asking price, but we achieve 96.4% of asking price within an average period of 25 days. I might include my last 3 months sole mandate sales. If you are a new agent and you don't have your own sales yet, make these your office sales, guys. These can be the sales by your office. It doesn't have to be the last 3 months. It can be the last 6 months, the last 12 months, whatever you want to put in there. But the important thing is you got to show how you are better than the opposition in terms of listing to sales price ratios and the number of days on the market. That is how you command the very best commission percentage. If you can show that you will bring a better result than your opposition. And even if you don't believe it at the moment, even if you don't see yourself as the leading agent, fake it till you make it. And I'm not saying lie. We are not lying. If you have nothing to show, you cannot fabricate any information that is not true, obviously. But do your very best to put in your information there that is true, but that will show your unique value proposition to your seller. This is just to give you some inspiration on what is possible, but do the very best that you can with either with your own sales or with your office's sales. Okay, what time is it now? 5 to 10. Then packages. Different offices have different approaches around commission packages. I know that many offices offer different types of packages. This is one office's package where they have a classic, a blue, a platinum, and an MLS, and they have different percentage commissions. So in other words, they offer their seller choice. They sell at the very highest level. They want to sell the platinum package, let's say at 7.5% commission. But if the seller is not taking that 7.5% commission, the seller might settle for a 6.5% blue package and still get many, many of the bells and whistles, but they are not getting that 7.5. But you close it on as, let's say, 6.5%. plus VAT with a sole mandate, and Bob's your uncle. So here it's often where we have the ask. You end with a confident, clear call to action. You offer a mandate agreement and explain the next steps. When we talk about commission and we talk about going to market, we talk about listing the property. If this is not where you can land it, and if the conversation obviously goes on, it might move over to an exclusive mandate. If you're asking for exclusive mandate and they are objecting a mandate, then you can have a page in your listing presentation where you explain the benefits of an exclusive mandate. What are the benefits of an exclusive mandate in the left-hand column? And on an open mandate, what is the reality on an open mandate? And guys, this is again something that you need to know by heart. You cannot read this with your seller as you sit with them. You have to explain it to them. You have to look them in the eye and really speak from the heart, because everything that's written here has so much merit. It really is for the benefit of your seller. Everything here is for the benefit of your seller, to provide to protect their privacy, to sell their property at the very highest price in the shortest period of time with the least hassles. That is what you want for your client, and that is what your client wants. But they want assurance of your full commitment and being present. And this is what you explain to them in the sole mandate, or the benefits of an exclusive mandate. But again, you cannot read this. You have to tell it to them. Yeah, are you happy with that? But obviously, when you leave your presentation with them, if they want to think it over, then this will be in the presentation that tonight at bedtime they can read this through and they can get a better understanding. This is also a page that you can include where you show how your office is better than other agencies in terms of the average price drop and the average days on the market. But these got to be real numbers, and we can talk about that at some other time. There is so much that we need to discuss actually around listing presentations. In an hour, we have not nearly enough time. If you need to, you can also include costs, determining your costs if your client is interested in that, if they need to know that right now, you can include that, and that brings you basically to the end of the presentation. So that is a listing presentation, just really, really very, very quickly. And so we are closing up, guys. What I want to say is that we need to, as entrepreneurs and as business people that are building a business, we should never forget that we are all the CEOs of You Incorporated. You are building a beautiful business where the sky's the limit. We know that what you put into this business is what you'll get out, or you'll get out from what you put into this business. So let's adopt the attitude of better never stops. Always be thinking of what more can I add to my listing presentation. Never get to a point where you feel, okay, this is now good enough. Yes, obviously, if I put in an effort today, I will have a presentation that I believe it's the very best that it can be today. But where are you in a month from now? In a month from now, is it still as good as it can be? Or are there things that you can add to your presentation or fine tune or improve on the content? We saw earlier when we did that activity to income breakdown, the massive difference a quality listing presentation can make in your earning ability. There's no question. So better never stops. Another thing that I want to say is sharpen the saw. We spoke earlier about the importance of role playing your listing presentation with colleagues. And I'm very excited to share with you that we have just recently launched what we call, the Harcourts Academy launched a scripts and objection handling workbook. This is for you to use as a very, very important resource in your business to sharpen the saw. Powerful dialogues to engage with your clients. There's the table of contents, contacting your homeowners and landlords in your farming area. Common objections from sellers and landlords, objections to price, objections to sole mandates and or listing with you, commission objections at the time of listing, commission objections at the time of presenting your offer, other seller objections, common objections from buyers, frequently asked buyer questions and answers, mastering the art of non-distress auction scripts. Then there's a very interesting piece around laying the path with Lee Perry, bridging the gap, and some notes. So the idea with this is in your team to role play scripts or objections that you get from typical objections from your sellers, from your landlords, from your buyers, etc. And have fun. Have fun with this, but hone your skills because this will also influence your ability to list the property, to take the mandate, to take it at the right commission, etc. So that is there on the Harcourts Hub. You can search with keywords, scripts and objection handling workbook, or just scripts maybe. Find it under documents. So in the search bar on the Hub, you will search with the keyword scripts and objection handling, and then you'll look under documents and you'll find it there. Print it, laminate it, and have it handy. Have it handy and practice, practice, practice. Last thing that I want to say before we say goodbye to each other is this is all good and well. We can look at all the theory, we can look at all the beautiful things, we can see the merit, we can see the value, it can make sense, it can sound so wonderful, but it all boils down to how badly you want it. Nothing will change in your business if nothing changes. If you want more sales, if you want sales at higher commission percentages, if you actually want to conduct your business in a more controlled manner by having more sole mandates and not having to run around so like a headless chicken around open mandates, it all depends on how badly you want it, how badly I want it. That is it. Your why. Why do you want it for yourself? Because if you want it badly, then you will put in the effort, you will make every effort to change your listing presentation, to make it the very best that it can be. And not only that, you will make the pre-list presentation part of your listing process. You will make sure that your clients have their post-listing packages. You will just conduct your business as a real professional, listing like a pro. So guys, I hope that you want it badly, because I can tell you that your colleagues, me included around Harcourts, we want it badly. We want for every agent to be very successful. We want for you to make money. We want for you to run a successful real estate business. But collectively, as one team, we want it badly for our team because we want to grow. We want to remain one of the leading agencies in South Africa. We can only do it if we do it together as one team, and if we all put in the effort 100%. So again, we say to each other, let's go out there and list like Harcourts pros. This is a wrap. 1 hour and 3 minutes. Thank you very much for your time. There is so much more that we can talk about. We will continue the conversation. Again, reach out to your BSM in your region if you have any questions. Contact me. We are all there to assist you. We want to see you successful, happy. Enjoy your Friday, guys. Again, thank you so much for your time and have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Chat to you soon. I will send out the recording in the next few days. Ciao, ciao.